Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you had a really good break. It's so nice to see you again. So for our next project, we're going to be making a polar bear. And we're going to be learning about a lot of really cool stuff with this, okay? So first of all, we are going to be learning about something called shading or value. So let me put up a little color wheel here. Okay, so we know what the color wheel is. The color wheel is just a group of colors that is in a circle. That's why it's called the color wheel. And there's no really set color that it starts with. It just kind of goes around, and yellow is usually at the top here. One side of the color wheel is going to be your warm colors, and one side of your color wheel is going to be your cool colors. We know that. We've talked about that a lot. It's kind of a review. So obviously for our polar bear, we're going to be using just cool colors because they live where it's cold. So we don't need any of our warm colors. So for this project, you actually just need a blank piece of paper, a pencil, and you're going to need crayons, and you're going to need possibly markers. You don't need markers, but you definitely will need some crayons. And you will need a gray crayon if possible. If you don't have a gray crayon, then you're going to want to use just a pencil, so it's gray, okay? All right, so getting started, we're going to start by drawing our polar bear, and then we're going to learn a little bit over here about this gray scale that's on the side of the color wheel. Okay, so that's kind of like what we're going to talk about. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is actually draw our polar bear. And we will start by drawing with pencil. In the middle of the paper, we're going to just draw kind of like a circle for his head. Okay, right in the middle there. Once you have that, you're going to draw his ears. And then inside the ears are just like the little extra part. Okay, once you have that, you are going to draw, down here is his nose. This is an upside down triangle, but it's kind of rounded. I always shade in the nose just so I know that it needs to be shaded in black, and I know where it is. Okay, once you have that, you're going to actually do kind of like a little outline here of an oval. And that's going to really show the shape of the bear's face. And then right outside that oval are his two eyes. And then shading in the big part of the eye. Okay? It's already starting to look like a bear. Okay, next step is going to be the polar bear's body. So this time, you're going to do one big round thing behind him and around, okay? Now we're going to add his his big paws. So his paws are going to be kind of like a shape like this, okay? So another paw, 1, 2, 3, so just like 3 little slight kind of curves down there. So right at the ends of those lines. Okay, and then there's just going to be one more curve, just like that, just a small one, because polar bears are big. They've got big bodies. Okay, that is it for the polar bear's actual shape. The next part is where we're going to learn the shading technique, okay? So you know what? I always outline my projects. You guys know that. If you would like to outline and you have a black marker or a black crayon, you may go ahead and do that really quick now. Also, we need to add the little lines in the paws. If you're not outlining, go ahead and grab your gray crayon, or if you have If you don't have a gray crayon and you're going to be using just your pencil, that will be fine as well. Okay, so I'm just going to finish up outlining my guy really quick. And we'll get started shading. Okay, so you're probably wondering what exactly this means over here. So when it says grayscale, grayscale always starts with black and ends with white. And then everything in between is something called value. So there's different values of a color or different values of gray, and it always starts with white and ends with black, just like I was saying. And so to make something look either more detailed, more realistic, or more round, people use shading, okay? So that's why you'll notice on my polar bear, I have shading around the edges. I have it underneath the head and around the mouth. I just did it in a bunch of different random spots on my polar bear to make it look more realistic, to make it look more detailed also. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do now. So I'm using a black crayon. Again, if you're using a pencil, that will work as well. So what you're gonna do is, starting on the edge of the polar bear, you're gonna start by pressing hard with your gray, and you're only gonna do it just a little bit on the edge, just a tiny, tiny little line on the edge. Not like you're not coloring the whole thing in gray, just a little bit of line on the edge, pressing hard. That's it, and I'm gonna do that all the way around my bear until I get to the other side, okay? Then, kind of going out from that dark gray, you're gonna do a lighter gray, okay? So I'm kind of like blending it out with my crayon by going right from the dark outward. If that makes sense. Okay, so I have the dark gray and then I have kind of like a lighter gray. Now keep in mind, I did this technique just on different random spots of my polar bear. I did it underneath his head. So I pressed hard to make it dark, and then right next to it, I pressed lighter with my gray to make it look more of like a lighter gray or a medium gray. Does that make sense? So now it kind of looks more realistic because it looks like there's a shadow underneath there. I also did it underneath here. So again, pressing hard. And then just kind of getting lighter and blending it out, pressing lighter with my crayon. And you guys would, obviously, you would continue doing that on that side, continue doing it on that paw, and so on. So that's what you would finish up doing with your shading. Once you are done with your shading, you are going to add in your background, and your background should be done with cool colors only. It doesn't have to be like mine. So I use markers and crayons. So I did him standing on like an iceberg, or just standing on the ice or snow maybe. So I drew lines with markers, and then I colored it in with crayon. And then actually in the sky, I did use marker, and I just kind of made like a bunch of lines all over, and then I used a white crayon to make snowflakes on there. You don't have to do your background like mine, but I do want you to use cool colors for your background. Okay, so I hope you guys had fun with this project. I hope that you learned a little bit about shading, a little bit about value. So that's one of our elements of art. It's called value. And that just means this gray scale here. Value. So dark to light. And that could be any color. It doesn't have to just be gray. But for this particular project, we're just using gray because our polar bear starts off white. Okay? All right, you guys. I hope you had fun, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.